The MCU may be a fantastical comic book-based action series that spans the globe, the universe, the multiverse and beyond, but one of its most unrealistic elements is the fact that the people in the background are, for the most part, just getting on with their daily business. If the MCU was realistic in the slightest, all of those people would be standing in the middle of the streets dressed in nothing but their underpants, screaming at the sky in existential dread, because let's be honest, the Marvel Cinematic Universe would be a fucking nightmare to live in. Why? Well, first of all, there's the Avengers themselves, a group of incredibly powerful individuals who operate with practically zero oversight as a quasi-governmental organisation and impose their will as the moral arbiters of the world, ignoring foreign borders and jurisdictions whenever the feeling takes them. There were the Sokovia Accords imposed after they destroyed an entire country just for funsies, and that managed to rein in their war boners for about half an hour before everyone just kind of forgot. In their time, they've taken down Hydra and S.H.I.E.L.D. only to pretty much become S.H.I.E.L.D. themselves, with a large campus in upstate New York where there are suspiciously no members of staff except for the core group, so there's no one there to call shenanigans on any of the shit they do. They've saved the world a time and a half, but it's always been on their own terms. Speaking of which, the blip fucked over so many people, and the 5-year gap exists because Tony Stark said so. Yes, it was so his daughter Morgan was still born, and yes, he does die in saving the world from Thanos, so maybe we owe him a solid. But Morgan's birth had nothing to do with the snap, and even if it did, they could have easily worked Morgan's existence into the Hulk's unsnap, because the 5-year time gap fucked over so many people. And what about Morgan? As she grows older and it slowly dawns on her the true horrifying cost of her father's decision, and the weight of her soul in the blood and suffering of so many people not only on Earth but throughout the boundless universe. Also, remember in the real world when people collectively lost their shit at COVID? Now imagine how all of that would be for the blip. The never-ending shit slide of subreddit and Facebook pages, well actually and yes-anding each other's conspiracy theories about an event no one was present for except for the people who directly caused it, and conveniently wished all of the evidence out of existence. Thanos did it, did he? The big purple guy that only you guys saw? Yeah mate, whatever. Which brings us to, not only do aliens exist, most of them are cunts. Turns out the universe is just chocker with aliens, most of whom have been fucking with Earth for centuries, mostly on the down low, but now the secret's out and not only is space full of fantastical creatures, but so is inner space, and a frightening number of them are gunning for us, so sleep tight kids. As humans, we tend to lose our shit at other races of humans and mistrust people from other parts of towns we live in. So our acceptance of aliens is a bit of an ask. So is accepting the daunting realization that we aren't and never were the center of a universe that is rich, diverse and utterly dispassionate about our existence. Can we explore this boundless universe? No, because the only ones with a functioning spaceship on Earth are these selfish dicks. Then there's the religious implications of finding out about God's little side projects, which segues us nicely into literal gods exist, and they all seem to be bastards. Now, this one isn't known to the general public of the MCU just yet, but Jesus H. Christovus III, can you imagine the fallout from this? Knowledge that not only do gods exist, plural by the way, but they hang out in what is essentially a frat hall and brag about how many people they've tricked into offing themselves and each other in their name. So not only do supreme beings exist, they're all complete douche canoes. We don't see any of our modern day Earth gods in the hall, presumably because they're all freshmen being hazed behind a set of bleachers somewhere. Not that any of that matters, because time travel exists. The rules of time travel in the MCU are a little bit fudged, meaning that if you ask too many questions about causality and paradoxes, everything starts to fall apart and leads to the likelihood that the undoing of Thanos' snap was likely in an alternate timeline, leaving the original one fucked because it was inconvenient. That aside, time travel exists and was surprisingly easy to invent, and currently only one group of people control it. Guess who? So at any time, you and your loved ones can be sound of thundered out of existence whenever whoever feels like it. And finally, imagine if someone used it to fact check the events of the Bible or any holy book, and the absolute carnival of shit that would take place if it were proved true or false. So, life in the MCU would be a nihilistic nightmare of cosmic apathy. Nothing matters because humans and Earth don't matter. It's not even a planet, it's a fucking egg. A tiny dot in a universe that gives as little fucks as is physically possible to give. Compounded that, it seems crammed to the knickers with shit that wants to kill everything just for the jollies of it. Magic, wizards, monsters, and an infinite multiverse of all that shit and more, all seemingly hell-bent on killing and all eating everyone in sight. And now they want to add vampires to all that. Fucking hell. Don't you think they have it hard enough?